Hi there, friends of Messiah. Today is Wednesday, April 15th, 2020. And today's video reflection is a guided meditation on the Easter story. Pastor asked us to look at all three Easter stories in the Synoptic Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, when he preached this past Sunday. And I will read today for you the Gospel text from Matthew and then lead you in that guided meditation. We have a reading from the Gospel according to St. Matthew, the 28th chapter. After the Sabbath, as the first day of the week was dawning, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to see the tomb. And suddenly there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord, descending from heaven, came and rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his clothing white as snow. For fear of him, the guards shook and became like dead men. But the angel said to the women, "Do not be afraid. I know that you are looking for Jesus who was crucified. He is not here, for he has been raised, as he said. Come, see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples, he has been raised from the dead, and indeed he is going ahead of you to Galilee. There you will see him. This is my message for you." So they left the tomb quickly with fear and great joy and ran to tell his disciples. Suddenly Jesus met them and said, "Greetings." And they came to him, took hold of his feet, and worshipped him. Then Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid. Go and tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There they will see me." While they were going, some of the guard went into the city and told the chief priests everything that had happened. After the priests had assembled with the elders, they devised a plan to give a large sum of money to the soldiers, telling them, "You must say, 'His disciples came by night and stole him away while we were asleep.' If this comes to the governor's ears, we will satisfy him and keep you out of trouble." So they took the money and did as they were directed. And this story is still told among the Jewish people to this day. The Gospel of the Lord. Isn't it wonderful to have a friend like Jesus? We can go to Jesus any time that we want and know that he will always be there waiting for us. And Jesus is one friend who understands everything that is deep in our hearts. I imagine that when Jesus was on earth, many, many people felt the way that you do about him. Wouldn't you agree? Once, Jesus' close friends thought they had lost him forever and that they would never see him again. Then something wonderful happened and they were happy again. What was the event that happened? Jesus' resurrection from the dead. Mary Magdalene was one of the first persons who saw Jesus after he rose from the dead. I invite you today into your quiet place where we're going to be with Mary Magdalene when she was looking for Jesus. I invite you to close your eyes, take a deep breath in, hold it, release slowly. Again, take a deep breath in, hold it, and release it slowly. Relax your facial muscles, your eyelids, allow them to go heavy. Relax your shoulders, relax your arms, even your fingers. Just relax. Relax your back, your waist and hips. Allow your legs to become limp and relaxed. Just relax. Relax your ankles, your feet, and your toes. Take a deep breath in, hold it, and release. In, hold it, and release. You and Mary Magdalene are standing in front of the tomb where Jesus lay after he was taken down from the cross. Mary is crying. Jesus is gone, you hear her say. Look, see for yourself. Ahead of you is a tiny cave on the side of a rocky hill. The tomb where Jesus lay. Touch and feel how rough the stones are at the entrance of the tomb. Stand with Mary at the entrance and look inside. Look, there are two beautiful angels. Aren't you surprised to see them? They are not sad. They appear very happy. Look, they're smiling at you. Just look how beautiful they are. Their clothes seem to be all yellows and golds and filled with light. One of the angels looks at you and at Mary and asks, "Why are you crying?" Mary doesn't even seem to care if they are angels. She doesn't even notice how beautiful and how happy they are. "Where have you put Jesus?" she asks them. Doesn't even wait for an answer. Suddenly, she grabs your hand and pulls you away. She says to you, "Come, let's look for Jesus in the garden." And off she goes, pulling you behind her. Don't you just wish she would stop holding your hand so tightly? Just tell Mary to let go of your hand. Say it nicely. There. She let your hand go. And now you are standing in the garden. See that man up ahead? He seems to be watching you. Or is he waiting for you? You turn and shout out to Mary, "Let's go ask that gardener where they have put Jesus." The gardener is smiling at both of you. It seems that he knows you. "Why are you crying, Mary?" he says to her. You feel your heart beginning to pound with excitement. You begin to wonder, maybe this man isn't the gardener at all. Mary asks him, "Have you seen where they have taken Jesus?" The gardener smiles and calls you each by name. Feel your heart pound faster and faster as you realize it's Jesus. The gardener isn't a gardener, it's Jesus. He's alive. He did not leave you. Aren't you happy to see Jesus? He's looking at you quietly and smiling. And he asks, "Were you afraid that I had left you?" Jesus reaches out and takes your hand and gives it a gentle squeeze and leads you along a quiet walk in the garden. It's good to be alone with Jesus, isn't it? Were you afraid that Jesus would leave you? Why don't you ask Jesus about this? You run ahead and tell the apostles that Jesus will meet them in Galilee. It's now a few days later, and you find yourself walking along a dirt road. Feel the dust under your feet. There are birds in the trees. You hear their song. It's not too hot. It's late afternoon and the sun is beginning to set. Ahead of you, you see two people on the road and you run up to catch up with them. Cleopas and his friend greet you. Cleopas reaches out with his hand and takes yours. Do you feel him squeezing your hand? They seem very sad, don't they? Cleopas tells you, "Our friend Jesus has died." Jesus is your friend too. Don't you feel sad also? And a stranger comes up to you and begins walking with you. Cleopas wonders why you're not sad and crying, but why you are smiling and appear so happy. The stranger that has joined you is known to you. He looks like the gardener in the tomb garden that Easter morning. The stranger places his hand on Cleopas' shoulder, begins to tell him a story all about God's promise. And before you know it, you have arrived at Cleopas' house. The stranger says goodbye, but Cleopas tells him to come in and join you for dinner. He still hasn't recognized who this stranger is. But you know. You feel joy in your heart as Cleopas invites Jesus to dine with you. Inside, you find the room dark. You open the shutters so that there will be some light in the room. You help Cleopas set the table for dinner. When you're finished dining, Cleopas sits next to the stranger, and you join them. The stranger smiles at both of you. He seems happy, doesn't he, to have you both sitting there with him. The stranger takes a piece of bread, blesses it, and gives you a piece. His hand touches yours. His other hand holds Cleopas. Cleopas's eyes are opened, and he recognizes Jesus in the breaking of the bread. Cleopas understands now your joy and joins you in an unexpressible joy. Jesus did not leave us. He is here. He has kept his promise. Jesus embraces you both. And tells you that it's time for him to leave. That you will see him once again before he ascends to his Father. As Jesus leaves, you run up to him. You want to tell him one last thing. What would you like to tell Jesus? Take a few moments and think about what it is that you would ask Jesus if you had one final opportunity to speak with him. Jesus, I love you. I know that you never break your promise and will always love me and be with me. Help me keep my promise to you to always be your friend. Amen. It's now time for Jesus to really take his leave from you. Say goodbye. Embrace Jesus one final time. And you turn and leave the house. Breathe in deeply. Hold it. And release slowly and completely. Breathe in deeply. Hold it. And release slowly and completely. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes and return to here and now. I thank you for joining me for today for this reflection on the events of Easter morning and later on Easter evening. Now may God bless you and keep you, make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you, and give you his peace. Amen.